Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, the center for delivering bad news to liberals. And well, I've got some real bad news for leftist hopes heading into the next election. Not necessarily one headline or one story, but rather a collective of headlines and stories. Nothing really new here, but it's certainly a continuation of the trend that we've been covering, the collapse of Joe Biden's political career. We got a lot of things to cover, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so we're starting off with Joe Biden's approval rating. Just when you thought that Joe couldn't go any lower, well, that's exactly what he does. Biden's approval rating plunges to just 33%, the lowest since taking office. President Biden's job approval rating has plunged to a measly 33%, according to a Pew Research Center poll released on Thursday. The dismal rating is the lowest that Pew Research has measured since Biden, 81, took office and represents a 2-point drop since the organization's last approval survey in June. The president's approval rating amongst registered Republicans and those that lean Republicans stayed at level 7%, while his support among Democrats tumbled 4% from back in June down to 61%. The pollster notes that Biden's job rating among Democrats has fallen 12 points since October 22nd and is relatively low among most major demographic groups, and only about half of Black Americans, 52%, say that they approve of Biden's job in the Oval Office. Folks, the Biden is trash realization trend has gotten so massive that Joe Biden, without even being in the media, without even really being in headlines or having some sort of, major L that's playing out in the world stage, without, let's say, like an Afghanistan withdrawal failure, without massive negative press, he's reaching his lowest lows. In fact, he's mirroring his lowest lows ever post-failed Afghanistan withdrawal. Piss Pants Joe just continues to tank. And to build on the point that I was making earlier, it's not because of one specific thing, it's everything. Just confidence in Dementia Joe in general. Public confidence in Biden remains low. Percent who say they are very/somewhat confident that Joe Biden can do each of the following: make good decisions about economic policy. Look at the numbers, especially from Democrats and independents. Handle an international crisis. Absolutely abysmal. Make wise decisions about immigration policy. Horrible. And bring the country close together. Those are arguably his lowest numbers, and he dropped 32 points on that issue alone from 2021 to now with Democrats, his own voters. Eric Swalwell is saying this.
I see a good and decent man in Joe Biden who united the country.
But even Eric Swalwell's own Democrat voters don't believe that BS. Joe Biden's bringing the country together.
The ultra MAGA.
The ultra MAGA agenda. But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And that is a threat to this country.
Uncle Joe bringing the world back together. What an absolute farce. Joe Biden's legacy will be a legacy of failure, especially on some of the most important points, the stuff that Joe Biden literally ran on. Joe Biden's entire marketing shtick back in 2020 to defeat Donald Trump was to return the soul to the nation, to bring America back, man. Because the orange man is taking democracy away. That was the narrative. People fell for it. Vote for nice family man Joe, who's going to unite the country. That was the whole message. That was the whole point. And obviously he's failed. That is the one issue where he's failed the most, according to the data. You just go through the list, and it's failure after failure after failure after failure. Yet, when met with any challenge or any criticism, what do we get from the Biden regime? Nothing but copium and denial. CNN asked a very simple question. How do you explain 71% of Americans rating the economic conditions of the country as poor?
Ask Americans in our latest poll, how would you rate the economic conditions of the country right now? 71% say poor. So how do you explain that?
Well, look, the American people have been through a lot.
The American people, well, they've been through a lot. It's the same answer for the last 2 to 3 years. The economy's great, stupid. You're the problem. When's the last time we got a straight answer? When's the last time we heard even a little bit of honesty coming out of the White House spokespeople? When's the last time you heard anything coming from any White House official where you nodded your head and went, yeah, that makes sense? It hasn't happened in years. because it's nothing but denialism. It's nothing but shifting blame and pointing fingers or taking victory laps when everything's going to hell in a handbasket, and it's the exact same strategy that the White House is using in Joe Biden's defense against James Comer's current impeachment inquiry. Again, another CNN clip to really cement that point.
In the statement that Hunter Biden made yesterday, he said, "Let me say it as clearly as I can. My father was not financially involved in my business." He was unequivocal about that. But that is an evolution of where the president had been during the campaign, where the White House had been at the start of the administration. Not involved financially in the business is very different than never talked about the business, not been involved in the business at all. Was that an intentional point of clarity, do you think?
I actually dispute the whole premise of that question.
Why?
It's one of Jim Jordan's favorite little shiny objects, is to try to take a semantic thing and make an argument that is somehow far afield from what they're actually focused on. We've been extremely clear over and over again for years, and nothing has changed. The president was not in business with his son, period. They're trying to make up all sorts of allegations and make up lies.
With respect, I'm not
about
citing
him
Jim
doing
Jordan
things that were
here. I
wrong
was
and
in some of the White House press briefings where it was said explicitly the president did not talk to his son about business dealing. That is very clearly not the case, and I think the statement from the White House has changed, and I think been a little bit more precise over the course of the last several months. It's what the president said on the campaign trail as well. I'm not saying this is like an impeachable offense or some grand indictment, but it is a fact that the president said one thing that ended up being not true.
Again, I dispute that's true. That is not true. The truth is that he wasn't in business with his son. The Republicans have been for years trying to make arguments.
Again,
that
I'm
he
not
was
saying
somehow wrapped
that he
up
was in
all
business
of
with
this,
his son.
And over again, those have been refuted.
Even CNN apparently is now willing to admit that there is evidence of Joe Biden being involved, at least socially, with his son's business associates, and the White House continues to deny it. We know that there's evidence because there's literal photographic evidence of Joe Biden meeting multiple of Hunter Biden's associates, but apparently we're crazy and that's not true because the Biden administration continues to deny it. They can continue to think that the American people are stupid, but the reality is people are catching on. Here's a CNN poll from a couple months ago. There's even worse polls these days, but I'd rather use this CNN poll that's basically finding the same numbers. A majority of Americans believe Joe Biden, as vice president, was involved with son's business dealings. The number they found was a majority, 61%, say they think that Biden had at least some involvement in Hunter Biden's business dealings. There's some more damning polls now being released, showing close to the majority of the public believing not only that Joe Biden was involved with Hunter Biden's illegal business dealings, but that Joe Biden's involvement was criminal in nature. The Biden administration is full of crap. We know it. It's getting to the point that everybody's starting to know it, even Democrats, as Joe Biden tanks across the board without even doing anything. He's become such a useless old fart, a damn ooze just melting in front of us. The Biden era may be very quickly coming to an end here, as the wheels start to fall off this damned circus vehicle. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Another Joe Biden update. Not going so well. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, friends, and I will see you on the next one.